Cheers, 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 cheers. Salute. All right, all right, all right. How you doing, man?
Good. I'm doing well. How about you?
Fantastic. I'm actually going to turn this down. It's just a little loud in my ear. Is it too loud in your ear?
No, it's fine.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Wait. Which way is down? Keep on talking. Check, 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 check. Hello. Hello. Check it.
Check.
All right, there we go. Sorry about that. All right, boom. Now we're back. We're ready to rock and roll. Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
I really appreciate you coming onto the podcast. It means a lot to me, man. I reached out to you, I don't know, maybe like a few months ago on Instagram.
Yeah. I was on the East Coast at the time.
Yeah, you were. I don't even think I don't know if we'd met in person at that time.
No. I just heard about you. Heard good things from Penelope and my girlfriend.
Yes, shout out to Penelope.
Yeah, shout out to Penelope.
Seriously,
greatest lady in the world.
I mean, she has been an integral part to this podcast. Mm-hmm. She has not only been on herself, but she has invited so many people, and it's been such an honor. I think 1, 2, 3, 4. I think maybe you're the 5th person with Penelope, including, and then we have a podcast with her tonight because of One Night in
San Diego. Yes. Really funny movie. Comes out November 17th. All the VOD apps, Amazon's probably the easiest one for people.
Yep.
Not just saying it because I'm her boyfriend. I watched the movie which she wrote and directed, and I watched it early on in our relationship.
Yeah.
And it's always, I think, like nerve-wracking because I'm like, what if it's not good? What do I tell her? And it's really funny. And it's something that I think people need right now is to laugh. And it's a really easy movie to enjoy and watch.
Dude, I could not agree with you more. When we went and saw it at the Grove like a year ago, right? It was something I didn't expect, right? Because I know my wife, Alyssa, right, had worked on it with Penelope, right? She was the makeup artist for your girlfriend's movie. And, you just don't know. People make movies, you work in the industry, and some are good, some are bad, some are okay.
Yeah.
And when I went and saw it, I just didn't know. But I tell you, from the beginning to the end, I was laughing my ass off. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
This reminds me of stuff like Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg could do, but with, like an all-female cast and just like.
And the girls, the main gals in it, Laura Samuels and Jenna Ushkowitz, really fun. I mean, it's so hard to find two people who are going to play off each other and have that type of chemistry. And that's what the movie would be, it would make it or break it.
Yeah.
And, they're both so funny.
Yes,
that
dude.
It was really, and they're very different, and they mesh really well together. And I was impressed by that. And I even asked Penelope, I'm like, did they know? They didn't know each other before.
Damn, really?
And I was like, you would think that they were, best friends. Yeah. It's great. I mean, it's rare to have that chemistry with two people,
Yeah, well, firsthand, being in movies, doing things your whole entire life. I guess for people tuning in real quick, why don't you do a little brief introduction?
Hi, my name is Jonathan Lipnicki. I started acting when I was 5 years old. I just turned 6. No, I just turned. I was like, really? Yeah, I just turned 30 years old, and still doing it, still loving it more than ever.
Yeah.
Obviously, stuff has slowed down due to COVID, and I hope everybody who's listening is staying safe and doing all right. Yeah.
Seriously, you've had a long career, and that's would you say it's rare, right? I mean, for such a short time.
I think if you the only way to fail is to not to just quit something. Yeah. And if you love something, you owe it to yourself. If you know that it's something that you're going to always question later, if you quit it, you owe it to yourself to continue and to find ways to adapt. And I think the most important thing is to be honest with yourself and check in with yourself. And, it's very up and down industry. And I'm not afraid to say that, I started off strong. I did some movies as a kid that started off strong. And there was a time I didn't work. And now I'm, starting to work pretty consistently again. I haven't had the same type of commercial success with the movies that I've had come out as an adult, but you know what, you got to look at things you can control, and I can just control creating and continuing to do something that I love.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. What is it called? Like a test shot or whatever. You showed me the one that you're in the pool.
Oh yeah.
What was that? Can you say what was that?
I can't say what it was for, but I get really into, and I've talked about this before on my other friend's podcast. Actually, I get really into I really love this, that we're doing a lot of self tapes now for auditions as actors, because I have so much fun with them. So I happened to get a self tape that, well, it was a scene where the person's in the ocean, and I was at Penelope's parents' house in New York, and they have a pool, and we shot the scene in a pool, and it looked really cool. And, you know, it helps to have a girlfriend who is a filmmaker. She made me look like I was in the middle of the ocean. Dude. It was really fun. And we were, you know, it's fun to take a big swing at things like that, because, you know, it's like, you got to enjoy every part of the process. Like, I think a lot of people get down on certain things. They're like, well, I love being on set and I love when I work, but you got to figure out ways to like fall in love with different parts of the process. I didn't like auditioning for a while. Made me nervous, and like, it still makes me nervous, but like the good nervous now. And I really love auditioning, whether it's in person or self-tape, you know, but self-tape's fun because you get to create the world, and I geek out about it. For people listening, what I know what self-tape is. I think you were the one that explained it to me. Will you explain it real quick? Okay, so if casting, let's say, is in New York and you're in LA, or, you know, a lot of times now they're just doing it because it's easier. You submit a audition that you film instead of being in person in front of people. And I think that's going to stick around because of COVID. I think that's going to be the new normal for mostly everything for a little while. And I'm not mad at it. I like it. It's fun. Dude, it allows you to be very creative. Instead of just standing in front of a group of people, you can take more creative control at it. Yeah, right? And you also believe it more. You know, like I always say this to people too, and it's like, it's so true. When you audition for something, you know, you try your best, and you try to create that world. But when you get on set, it's like you don't have to try because you're there. You're around the people and the costume, and there's something you do when you put on that wardrobe and you're around, you know, the environment you're supposed to be around in any given scene. It does a lot of the magic for you. So it's like, the fun thing about self-tapes is you get to recreate some of that instead of being in a casting office, which is also really fun. I mean, I have a really good audition. It will keep me, you know, high on that over the weekend, you know, let's have it on a Friday, just because like I want to go in there and feel good about it. You know, you can't control whether you get it. There's so little that's in your control, but what's in your control is your preparation and going in and, you know, having fun and learning to have fun again is something that's taken me a long time to relearn. Yeah, man. It's preparation is key. You know, it's the key for so many things in life. There's this little saying that my boss at the company I run, Ergo, it's called the 6 Ps, PPP, PPP. And it can be said many different ways, but it's prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Yeah. And I've taken that to heart. A lot of things in my life, sometimes I lack on it, sometimes I'm better, right? But I think that whatever you do in life, being prepared, you know, putting in that work is so freaking key. And, you know, Daniel is really good at that. He prepares and plans, and he's just on top of his shit. I mean, when he came to this podcast and started becoming the producer, it changed everything. It literally changed. It really brought it all together. And we've seen, you know, more success in the 6 months that you've been with, you know, been part of the project. Than, you know, the first 6 months, right? So that's awesome. I really can appreciate that. Yeah, kudos to you, Daniel. Yay. Yeah, of course. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. So when you were younger, right? Was it always something that you want to do? Because you were 5 years old and you found, you know, huge success right off the, I don't want to say right off the bat because I don't know the story. Pretty close to off the bat, but no. To answer that, sorry for interrupting. Go. You know, I definitely was shy in a lot of circumstances. I still am. It wasn't like, well, you know, you meet a lot of little kids and like, I'm going to be a star. And they're very precocious. I definitely was in certain circumstances as precocious, but I didn't think that I was going to be like an actor at all. You know, I grew up in out in LA, so it wasn't a huge stretch to start auditioning. But I grew up in Westlake Village. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's, a suburb. And I started because my sister was taking an acting class. She's a few years older. To reconnect with a friend. They weren't in the same school district anymore.
Okay.
And so to kind of reconnect, and my mom thought it would be a positive thing because there's a lot of positive things that come out of performance, stepping into your own and really learning how to be in front of people. And I saw her go into this room and she'd come out and she was always excited. And little did I know, but my sister's friend's mother had said something to the acting coach about that I was like an adorable little kid. And I wanted to try it because it looked fun. And I tried it, and we'd practice these things called auditions in class. And I told my parents I wanted to like try it for real. And they were hesitant at first, they're like kind of the anti-stage parents, which I'm really lucky for.
Yes.
And then they finally gave in. I tried, some commercial auditioning. I booked a few commercials. And then I had an audition for this movie called Jerry Maguire.
Okay.
And Maverick from Top Gun was in it, is what I was what really excited me. Top Gun was my favorite movie at the time.
Yeah.
And my parents, because I didn't know who Tom Cruise was, they showed me Top Gun. And I was like, wow, I want to get this role because I'll get to hang out with Maverick, and he's the coolest guy ever. And I auditioned for Jerry Maguire. I did not get it.
Whoa.
They cast another kid. They shot 2 weeks with him. And somewhere along the way, I guess it didn't work out with him, and they went to recast the role. But because I had auditioned for it, I was on a list of people who had already been seen for the role. They didn't want to see me again. But I was seen by like an associate, not the actual casting director. And my agent at the time was the head of the youth talent department at this agency, and he said, "Don't see any of my other clients. I stake my reputation as an agent on this. Wow. I have the guy you want sitting in my office." So they relented, and I went and I read for the casting director, and she said, "How would you like to go to Arizona today where they're shooting the football scenes and read these 2 scenes for Tom Cruise and Cameron Crowe?" And I was like, "I get to go on a plane?"
That's all you're thinking.
Yeah. So I went and I read for Tom. My mom came. And my dad, and I read for Tom in his trailer with Cameron Crowe there, and I did 2 of the scenes. And ended up going my way, and I ended up, that's how I started my career. And I realized very early on that I was in love with the whole process, everything about it. It's so fun. And, my parents along the way, I worked on some other movies, Stuart Little movies, and a movie called The Little Vampire, and like Micah, and I did like a little bit on Dawson's Creek, all kind of in a row, and or it felt like in a row anyway.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm
you
sure.
know, the time. Sometimes I'm like, which came first? But my parents always asked me between projects if I was happy and I still wanted to continue doing it, and the answer was always yes.
Wow.
But I still went to public school the whole time.
Shut up.
And I still did youth league basketball and baseball, and it was really the best of both worlds. My parents tried so hard to make it that way. And, I couldn't be happier with the choices I made. And I honestly, if I went back, I would do it the same way.
Dude.
Again.
That's amazing. One thing that you said was that your parents were the anti-stage parents.
Yeah.
Now, you constantly hear all these horror stories of, these stage parents that are they're just doing it for themselves, right? When you say anti-stage parents, what does that mean to you?
What does that mean to me? It just means that they cared about me as a kid, and they weren't short-sighted. They looked at the longevity of when you're molding a human being, what things could affect them negatively in the future. And I think they were just very cognizant of it, And, I heard Matthew McConaughey was on Joe Rogan, and they were talking about that. And Joe was like, talking about like, what is it that makes some go off the rails and some not? And I think that in general, how many friends do you have from when you were a kid that went off the rails? Like people are going to go off the rails, in general, and and some are not, we're all individuals, and things happen, and, different circumstances maybe could make that go faster, or, with child starts easy access to things that are not good. But I think really what it comes down to, with, your friend from the neighborhood, parents.
Yep.
Parents, kids. I don't blame kids when people are like, this person's a train wreck already.
Yeah.
I think we build people up to tear them down, and that's sad.
It is.
And I wish it were different, but a lot of it is the parenting when it comes to young performers.
Yeah.
And caring about their well-being more than they care about them being famous or
All of that
successful. And my parents cared really about my happiness, and they still do.
Your parents seem amazing, man. And for them to have
I think you met them, right?
Yes, of course. And for them to have the
Yeah.
foresight to keep you in public school.
Yeah.
How did that work out? Doing these movies and all of that.
Like I said, I'm not from a really big area as far as it's, now it's bigger, there's more people, but like elementary school is pretty easy. It was, people were pretty nice. Middle school's really rough, to be honest.
Dude,
and
it's tough.
It was kind of right when I was developing really bad anxiety.
Yeah.
And I always, my whole life to this day, and I think part of that, part of the thing about being a young performer is you want to be liked. And I think like that translated a lot into my personal life, and something I'm still letting go of. It's like, being the best person I can be, and then letting go of what others think.
Yeah.
But middle school was really rough, really, really, really rough. Other schools kind of, so elementary schools, there was just the kids who fed in from the area into that school.
Yeah.
Middle schools, a few different schools fed into it. And I just come off, I believe Stuart Little 2 and Like Mike came out in the same summer.
Jesus.
So it's like probably the height of, my childhood part of my career.
For sure.
And I just wanted to go to middle school and make friends like everybody else. And I was so excited because like you have different teachers for different classes.
Yep.
And the first while I was there for, it seemed like months. I don't know how long, and I actually was, I couldn't eat lunch because people crowd around me, and like, first it was all positive. People were just curious. And then it turned really negative. And I definitely got pretty, and I was a scrappy kid, so I always talked back or whatever. But I got harassed a lot, and it was really hard because I felt so misunderstood. I never, as a kid, thought I was better than anyone because I was an actor, because my parents were like, no, you're like, this is great that you have this talent, but you're not better than anyone. Take out the trash.
Yes.
Clean out the gutters,
Yes.
My dad would stand and watch me clean out the gutters. Like, that was my dad's favorite thing, I think, was watching me clean out the gutters. But it really stuck it to me there.
Yes.
But
that's what makes you do.
Yeah, but I never really went into middle school being like, I'm better than everyone or this or that. I always have felt a little different because of being,
for sure,
a performer. You get certain amount of, attention. But I definitely felt really misunderstood, and I just wanted to make friends, and people were like, oh, he thinks he's cool or this or that. And to be fair, a lot of people are going through really difficult stuff at that time in their life, and their really formative years.
Of course.
And they, are feeling anxious about themselves, and, the hormones start
puberty,
to happen,
man, all that.
It was really rough though. And, it's crazy. I'm really cool with a lot of the people who are not nice to me.
That's amazing, man.
Like one of my best friends in the whole world was a kid who bullied me.
Dude.
And me and him are like really tight now.
I love
because
that.
he was going through his shit, and I was going through mine, and like it didn't meet well.
No.
And I don't hold anything against it. It really hurt at the time, and it definitely had a lasting effect where like now I think I've been forever sensitive because of that, I get about
that.
Like making fun of people. I try my best not to talk shit on other people, and I try to do my part to keep my side of the street clean. But high school was a little better. Middle school was like,
dude, it must have been rough.
Really rough.
Especially at that time in your life. I mean, kids are just mean, man.
Exactly.
I mean, bullying is a real thing.
Yeah.
When you're a kid, you don't think about all of these other things that life really is about. And for someone at your level going through that, I could see how kids were fucking brutal to you. But you've made it out of it just fine. You have gone through these experiences, but your parents in this amazing way have been able to ground you and show you that you're not better than anyone else. You are who you are, and you're an amazing person. But there are many, no, I seriously mean it, but it's true. But the sole fact of your dad making you clean gutters, going to public school. I mean, you could have been sent to private school. You could have been homeschooled. You could have done all of those things.
Yeah.
But that was not the case. But then, you talk about anxiety, and that is a real freaking thing.
Yeah.
As you have, gone through this experience, right? What are some of the things that you have done to kind of help mitigate that anxiety?
Well, so it's interesting because I didn't know it because and I really think it's beautiful that mental health is becoming a huge conversation.
Mm-hmm.
When I grew up, I didn't really know other people had it.
Yeah.
So I thought I was like an alien. I'm like, why is my heart racing? And I think like it's the end of the world every day. It got so bad to where I thought it was the end of the world every day, multiple times a day. My hands would break out in eczema and like bleed. It was not good. And I started going to therapy, and my parents were really smart about that. I was okay to be vulnerable at my house and, in front of my parents. And, you couple the having to have responsibilities professionally and school. And I think and then being, bullied a bit, it's kind of a perfect storm. And I feel actually worse for kids, way worse for kids now. Cause this is my experience. Media. It's not, Dude. This is my experience. It's not, worse or, crazier than anyone's bullying experience. And I want to make that clear. I don't feel sorry for myself at all. Because at the end of the day, I was still doing what I love. But, kids today, it's like, at least I got to go home, and like, then it was okay.
You got to turn off.
But like, you can't turn it off now with social media. I mean, you can turn off your social, but it's like kids feel so isolated and disconnected. But I think the greatest things I did for anxiety, and it's still a battle. I don't think anxiety just like goes away completely. If you're a person who's prone to it, which I think I was. I don't think if I was not an actor, I think if I was not an actor, I'd still have it to a certain degree. But I started finding things that I could focus on. So like I got really into basketball. So I play basketball all the time because I realized when I was really focused on things. So if I was acting or playing basketball, no anxiety.
There we go.
So then that really, ended up at a certain age, really just being like, okay, I'm going to play a lot of sports and do a lot of, do a lot of acting. And for me now, it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There we go. That calms me down a lot. I find myself being anxious, and it's hard, in a time like now where you can't do it, so it's hard. But finding things you're really interested in that you can dive into takes your mind off.
Absolutely.
A lot. And it's hard right now because a lot of people have things that they have outlets that they can't do right now, but it's finding things you're interested in, I guess, has really lessened it a lot for me. But it's still, it comes up here and there. And
what about therapy?
It's a battle. Yes, therapy. I also went to therapy. I'm in therapy again now, Zoom therapy.
There we go.
And that's great too. I think talking about it, and I'm glad that it's talked about now.
100%, man. It's more open than ever, and especially on this podcast, it's a huge topic, because mental health is so important, and everyone is going through something. So it doesn't matter if yours is more or less. Yeah. When we go through life, we only see life through our eyes, right? And so if you're getting bullied and picked on, it might not be the most that someone has ever been bullied or picked on, but it still doesn't feel good. It doesn't help anything. But these outlets that we have as we start to talk about it more, as we get older, it's real. And one big thing, like you said, is working out, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, taking care of your body. Like for me, like on my rough days with my health with fibromyalgia or like shit I got going on in my brain, if I put in a hard fucking workout, sweating, just fucking in it, I promise you, by the end of that workout, I am feeling 10 times better. Yeah. That is a fact, right? So that is key. Finding those outlets, but then therapy, finding a good therapist, someone that you can open up to talk your things out, and that individual helps guide you, right? Because if I look at my own personal life, who I was a year ago compared to today, I have grown so much, and that is because I've put in the work, but my therapist has helped guide me through these things, right? And this podcast as well. So, hearing someone like yourself, right? You're just as vulnerable as the next person.
Yeah, I think that people think, well, if someone has a lot of good things going on, then like things don't hurt them. No. Which is just not true at all. And I think that, it could, you could feel more open than they ever even imagined, and definitely anxiety has led to that vulnerability, but also it's the interesting thing about it. And I brought up like, oh, well, mine definitely, like, I think it's good to have a good perspective. So mine, people have struggled way more than me in their lives, and having that perspective is great, but also validating my own perspective and be like, cause you have to balance, I feel like validating your own experience, being like, it's real. I'm not a weirdo for thinking this, and I'm not weak for thinking this.
Yeah.
And I need to work on this. But then also having the perspective of being like, but all these things are good in my life and they could be worse. I think being grateful, but at the same time validating.
It's huge.
It makes sense. Because if you invalidate it and you go, you're just being weak, then you're just going to create more of a problem. Or like, why do I feel this way? I have so many good things going on. You have to validate it enough.
Yeah.
Not to just not validate it to the point where you're just sitting in it and you're like, oh, my life is hopeless and nothing, easier said than done too. But like, my life is hopeless and there's nothing I can do about it. Finding the gratitude and validation at the same time.
It's a balance. It's a balance. It really is. And, having a good supporting team, right? Mm-hmm. So you're very fortunate to have, your folks, man, where it's like, just like you were talking about earlier with Rogan and McConaughey talking about that. Shout out to McConaughey writing Green Lights. It's a really fucking good book.
I want to read it because he's so interesting.
Dude,
he's such an interesting guy.
It's really good. I suggest doing the Audible version because he talks, he obviously reads it. It is fucking fantastic. But it's getting to the point though, there are a lot of parents out there who have their kids acting, and especially child actors, where it's just a sad story over and over again. You look at the Britney Spears situation. I could continue on with so many actors and actresses where it happens, but for you, I just want to say one more time, shout out to your parents.
Thank you.
Seriously.
And even, with that, I always want to make it very clear, because I hate the whole, like, making people who are entertainers and stuff necessarily role models, because everybody...
True.
Like, not making them role models. Like, I think there are some great role models, but not making it role models in the sense that they've done no wrong.
Of course.
You know what, man? I made so many mistakes along the way that, I, deal with, and that I try not to, try to let go and try not to feel, regretful or whatever about. But I think that it's about having realistic, like, idols,
Dude, for sure.
Like, I mean, the word idol in itself, but, like, having realistic, because, like, I made it through relatively unscathed. Are there still problems with that, and is it still a hard thing to navigate? 100%. There's no real answer to it. My parents tried their hardest, and there's still, as like anything, there was huge positives to starting that young and huge negatives too. But like, I have made my fair share of mistakes, but I've learned a lot, and I've always tried my best to be the best person I could be and handle myself the best I possibly can.
Absolutely.
But I think that the problem is we put up these people, and props to, I've been watching like a little bit on Bieber.
Yeah.
And like for him, he's been so honest about his recovery as a human being.
Yeah.
And I think it's like we put this person up there so high to then be like, they're a role model. Well, now they're not, And I think the whole role model thing needs to have a more realistic grasp on it.
100%.
Because you know what? Everybody makes mistakes, and everybody does things that they, are not happy about, or and in many cases have learned from. And I think like he's a perfect example of that. Like I really like am digging the dude I'm seeing,
absolutely.
with him. Like he's dealt with more fame than probably any kid ever. And he went through it, and like, you don't know what's behind those bratty, childish acts he was doing, but like
he was a kid.
He learned from it, and then you learn the whole background on it. And you're like, oh man, I feel for the dude.
Absolutely. I mean, anyone you went through a lot of it too, man. It's just, it's a lot. And then for anyone though, we all make mistakes. We're all human. And then if something comes out that you did this, and then 5 years later or 10 years later, it's like, dude, I've grown. I've changed. That person, it was a completely different person. We all grow. So it's like we do live in this social media generation where it's like people are constantly trying to dig up shit.
Pull up old tweets and whatnot. And I think that like a lot of people, I mean, there are people who like, have done bad enough things, where I think like, you know what, they should be held responsible for really bad things. But if you make everything about everybody at the same level of bad, then what truly is bad anymore? You have to be, it's a responsibility we must have as human beings to,
for sure,
to, not treat every misstep as an equal thing. Cause you know, there are a lot of people who have done things that are not forgivable, but there's a lot of people who have done things that they've learned from and they've grown from.
Yes,
but it's
forgiveness.
like you know, I think forgiveness is a big thing we could all learn from. You
I mean,
know,
take a heavy dose of that, especially in America. I mean, I look at Kevin Hart, right? Do you like the situation that's pulled up? Did he say stupid shit? Yes. Was it wrong? Absolutely. I have to tell you myself, up until about a few years ago, I would say things, right, that I didn't even know. I just thought that, you know, it was like whatever, you know. But then my cousin shed a lot of light on me, like, dude, you know, if you say that word gay, right, where even if you're joking around, but it's like, oh, no, oh, dude, that's so gay, right? Well, there's this negative connotation behind it, like, oh, it's a bad thing to be gay, but no, it's not. I didn't mean that, but you know, we all have gone through that. And so like someone like Kevin Hart said stupid shit, you know, about his kid. But does that mean he's a bad person? Does that mean he doesn't get a chance to grow? Does that mean he doesn't get a chance to be forgiven? You know, if you don't ever grow, if you don't ever get forgiven for your past mistakes, then we might as well all just be held to the freaking cross. Like, I just don't even know.
Because if you I think it's both unfair to the person and unfair to the people following the person to hold people to such standards. Because, like, you know what, if you hold a person to perfection and they fail, like, that's horrible for them because now they're being judged for, you know, some misstep, whether, you know, minor, a little more major. Like, if it's really bad, like, I mean, like, there's some things that people have done, like, like they should.
Bill Cosby, right?
Like, you know, like that are just unforgivable.
Yes.
But, like, you know, for missteps, I think that it's not fair to the person it's happening to, but it's also, in the first place, it's not fair to people looking up to that person. You're a young, impressionable person, and you're never going to reach, if someone is put as perfect in your mind, you're never going to reach that. So it's kind of both unfair.
Dude, both sides.
You know, it's like, it's unfair to kids being like, this person's perfect. And like, you can try your best, but like, you'll never be this person. Or the person who's like, hey, like, I'm trying my best. And they're like, you're a role model. You're a role model. You're a role model. And they're like, just trying my best. And then they do something stupid or something comes out. And then everyone's like, you're the worst person ever. It's like, and I think that we should all, you know, treat people like we'd want to be treated if we did something dumb.
Yeah. But, you know, especially on social media, that's not how it is, because there are so many things that are said online that if you put those two people in person, they would never say that shit, right?
Exactly.
And the media and just this generation wants to make us feel so divided, but we're definitely not. I believe that as society, we're so much closer. But, you know, things do get skewed online, right? But yeah, holding people to these standards that are never really obtainable is not correct. But on the other side, it's like, if you do mess up, like, to talk about Rogan again, it's like he said some stupid shit in a podcast, I don't know, like a month or two ago, about, I don't remember exactly what it was. Do you mind pulling it up, right? He said some stuff like the fires in California, where it was like Antifa or it's someone, right? And Daniel pull it up right now. But he was wrong, right? Very next day on his Instagram, when he found he was wrong, what did he do? He put his phone, looked at it, and said, I was wrong. I apologize, right? Yeah, so real quick, Joe Rogan issued a rare public apology on Friday for sharing misinformation about the wildfires in California's podcast. The JRE had reiterated a false report from Fox News, which stated that Black Lives Matter protesters were intentionally setting the wildfires. Answering for the misstep on Friday, Rogan tweeted, I fucked up. He also put out a video saying, I messed up, right? And that's in life, man. If we mess up, thank you very much, sir. If we mess up, right, well, say it, right?
Yeah. And I think that, you know, being able to forgive people like you'd want to be forgiven yourself. Yeah. You know, if a lot of people online, you know, who say mean things, it's like if you took your own history of tweets or your own whatever, and you happen to overnight become some person who people looked at, how would you feel if people tore you down? It's not a good feeling, you know? And I think that, like, we got to look at, there's black and white, there's right and wrong, you know, but between that, there's a lot of gray area, and we have to judge people accordingly. Yeah. You know, we can, and I think that's the problem is, you know, if not only, okay, so like if you know, cancel someone right off the bat for something that isn't And like I said, there's things that are certainly unforgivable. But if you cancel someone right off the bat for that, how are they supposed to grow and become a better person? And how are other people supposed to learn from it? I like seeing comebacks. I, for one, like seeing people grow. And I like seeing people take ownership and say, I messed up, I fucked up, and I'm wrong. And then they grow as a person, and we grow as a society because we let that person grow. And maybe now, instead of being canceled or whatever, that person can contribute in a positive way to society. We don't want to ruin a whole human being because maybe they have some amazing things to offer. If it was, like I said, judge accordingly, a misstep and not something crazy, but like a misstep, there's a lot of good in humanity.
Yes,
and we just don't see it as much because it's not as talked about. But I think like the gray area of humanity, of being like, okay, this person did this or that, but they're a human being and they're growing. And I think we all can agree we've all made mistakes. If you can show me someone who's not made a mistake,
Dude, that would be amazing.
I would love to meet them.
Yeah.
I'd love to have a long conversation with them because that must be really fascinating.
Oh, 100%, 110%. Yeah, we live in this weird cancel culture right now where it's very strange. But for me doing this podcast, I have had on all different types of people, right? And I have realized that even the ones that have this view or that view, and maybe we don't see things together on some set, we're still so similar, and still just like so much more towards the middle than this is painted right now. But I think in time we'll definitely figure this all out. I do want to kind of bring it back to your story though, right? So it's like you went through this whole experience as a younger kid, right? It was a lot, dude. I mean, I personally remember like watching you and seeing this. I was like, this is amazing for you. But then there came this point where it kind of stopped, correct? Yeah. When did that happen, and what did that feel like at that moment of time?
It probably I did these 2 independent films. I think they were kind of close back to back. But it was a combination of a few things. I definitely went through a really awkward stage. If you want to bring up some awkward photos, you can totally embarrass me. I went through a really awkward phase that was like very prolonged. It was a very long time. And I'm still that awkward kid inside, definitely. But there was that. And so when you have that happen and you see things start to become apparent that you're not like a cute little kid anymore, but you're not really an adult. Like you're just kind of awkward. I think that there's also a lot less stuff between, certain ages for acting. There's that, but there's also I stopped really liking myself a lot. I think that's what it had to do with. And so the most beautiful, I see a few of them. The most beautiful thing you can bring as an actor is yourself. You always have some variation or amount of yourself in it. And I didn't know who I was, and I didn't like who I was. And I tried to be everything but me. So I wasn't, to be honest, a very good actor for a portion of my career because I was trying to be someone else. Okay. And it wasn't authentic. And so I think there goes through a process where, and sorry if I sound snotty, by the way, guys, I'm not sick. It's you can vouch for me. It's the recent change in temperature in LA. It's like, allergies and stuff. So I'm good. I've been tested.
The animals.
I'm good.
Yes.
But it really plays into your artistry when you can't bring any authenticity to it because you either don't know who you are, you don't like who you are, a combination of the both. So there was that. And it took me a while to recognize that even. But there was that, and then there was also, the portion of me that was just kind of focusing on other things.
I got that.
I went to high school. I played on the water polo team. I went to prom. I did all the normal things, playing in a sport and going to prom and doing all that. And that definitely played into it where it wasn't my main focus. I always really thought I would come back to it. And then at first I thought I was going to go to college, and then I didn't end up going. I didn't get into the film school I wanted.
Seriously?
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Loyola Marymount University.
Wow.
They have a really good film program. I didn't get in.
Why?
I had decent grades, and I think I really did have the grades to make it. I don't know. It's a nice school, so I think it got really more competitive. But it was the greatest thing that happened to me because I told myself I'd take a year off before choosing to go to college, and I would just take acting class like it was a college, and that was a big key to getting me back to knowing myself. Was I'd not really been trained as an actor. I had taken had worked with coaches, but I hadn't really gone back to the fundamentals of like step one.
Yeah.
And I think that was important as an actor, but also as a human being, because you learn about listening a lot. And there's the Meisner technique, Playhouse West out in LA is where I started taking classes. And you learn about listening a lot. And not just like active listening, people with their active listening face, but like really listening. And it made me a better friend and a better actor, and bringing authenticity and not being afraid to be ugly. Like, I think that people glamorize acting and entertaining so much that like you then become afraid to be ugly in front of people. But that's what is important, is to be ugly in front of people, to show everything about you and to bring your true self. So really learning that, I think, not having that was what, it just didn't work for like 5 years.
Dude, but that's, what you said when I asked the question. You're like, I wasn't that good of an actor, right?
Yeah.
Dude, for you saying that, like, mad respect. Like,
Thanks,
being so open and honest with yourself. I want that for everyone. I want them to be so freaking real. And then you went through the steps, and then you started to figure it out,
Yeah. I think humbling yourself a lot too, because like I had a certain perspective. Yeah. And even if I was completely, humble in that perspective of how it happened to me and how things went really well, I still needed, I think, to get a full grasp of things not going well, regardless of, even if I was, and I felt I was, never a monster or crazy about being like, yes, I deserve this and deserve that. There's still a little bit of not, like, even if you don't, things don't come easy. When you really learn that things don't come easy and you're like, wow, I really have to claw my way back. Yeah. It creates a certain amount of character. And I really am grateful for the thick times and the thin, and it's something, it's still people go, oh, well, how did you make that transition? Yeah. Well, I'm still making it, dude. Like, I'm going to be honest. I told you, like, I was honest, said I wasn't a very good actor for a period of time, you know, and I took going to classes to really feel like I'm bringing my authentic self. I'm not completely happy where my career is. I'm happy as a person, and I have a lot of great things in my life, but I'm not content. I'm happy that I've been getting stuff again, and I celebrate all the victories that come, but I have goals to meet and things to do. And I think it's okay to say, you know what, this is not exactly where I want to be right now, but that's fine. I don't sit in it, and I'm not negative about it. I am where I am for a reason. And it's not indicative of where I'll be in a year or 5 years or 10 years, but it's okay to say. And I see so many people who maybe they're not in the brightest part of their career, and they go on and they're like, well, I have this movie coming out next month, and this or that, and they're not being honest with themselves. Yes. And I'm honest with myself. Yeah. I'm still just grinding, auditioning, creating my own stuff, but you have to be honest with yourself. Dude. And I feel like I owe it to the people who have been supportive of me to be honest to them and root, because then it doesn't create like he has things handled. It creates a more like people want to go with me. And I hope that they take some, something from that, and they're like that, honest about pursuing their own things they want to do. Absolutely. But it's like, it's easy to say, yeah, well, and I have a movie. It just came out. Yeah. October 13th, it came out. It's called Broil. It's on Amazon. Like, I had a movie come out. That's great. Like, that's awesome. It's, it's cool. But at the same time, like, it's okay to say, like, I just want, I want more. I want to work more. Of course. I don't want more in a vain way of I want more fame. No, this and that. But I will love creating, and I want to work more. Yes, 100%. Like, and I think it's okay to say, like, yeah, I'm not completely like, stoked on, like, I could just sit here. I'm not going to rest on my laurels. But I am happy with it. I am happy with where I am. I mean, I'm happy with who I am, and I'm happy that with all the circumstances that led me here, and I'm happy doing what I love, and that gives me purpose every day. But I'm not happy enough to just stick out here for, stay here. Yes, I guess I don't know if I clarified. No, you absolutely. I have that same mindset, man. I constantly want more, and it's not in like I need more. No, it's like I want to continue to grow. Right? Exactly. I want to get to these levels, because I believe life is about constantly leveling up and making yourself better. And you're right. It's like all about being honest with yourself, and then having people around you to hold you accountable. So if you are lying or bullshitting, they're gonna call you out. And this motherfucker
does it all the time.
Good,
and I
good.
love
As
that.
he
And,
should, yeah.
and as he should, right? And, that's the type of people that you want, because if you just have a whole bunch of people saying yes, 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 it's only going to limit you. You're never going to really feel what life is about, because we need to have wins, we need to have losses, and we need to have a supporting system that is going to be there for us, call us out on their shit, and everything above. But I do want to touch on Broil, because you brought it up. It just came out, right? Talk a little bit about it. What's it all about?
Something before we pause. I every time we put on a trailer on YouTube, we get a hit on it because of copyright. I don't know who we need to ask, but can we play the trailer?
I don't know. It's way above my pay grade. Okay. So you know what? If people want to check it out, it's on my Instagram at Jonathan Lipnicki if you want to check it out. And if you want to check it out on Amazon, it's a cool, weird movie. It's it's fun. It's definitely one of those things. It's it's a interesting movie to watch. It's very weird and out there.
What was your role?
I play a chef who is a killer for hire who poisons people.
Holy shit.
So I get hired to poison the patriarch of one of the world's most powerful families at a dinner party.
The Kardashians?
No. But
just joking.
Yeah, but it's a really, it's a good cast. It's an interesting film, and it was a fun step forward, and it was a new challenge, and it was a weirder character than I've ever played, and I hope you guys enjoy it if you check it out.
Yeah, definitely. When you're going into these, do you want to play real quick?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Father, this will be our last harvest.
No child of mine has ever left the family. 100 more harvests.
No.
50.
No.
1. And your firstborn. And you too can have your freedom. This must be the chef.
You will cook us a most exquisite meal, and you will poison the host.
Who's the host?
My father. Who are we?
I've been waiting for you to ask that question. The Sinclairs are gifted on purpose to make the world right.
Your father knows I'm gonna poison him.
Tonight has been 5,000 years in the making. One attempt to take the life of August Sinclair.
I will not die tonight.
We die on the traitor tonight. A toast, good family, good drink, and great food.
Holy shit.
A lot of fun to make. Really,
Dude,
really cool people. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's freaking awesome. What do you do? What do you do when you go into how does one even prepare for a role, or especially what's your kind of shtick?
Okay, so the
I don't mean to call it a shtick either.
So it's different every time, and you also you'll maybe use some certain things over and over, that help you prepare for certain things. But this one was really quick because I didn't think I had the role, and then all of a sudden I did, and I was on a plane the next day. And it's a very complicated character. It was originally, and they don't really discuss it in the film anymore, but he was originally written on the spectrum, and my stepbrother is. And so I talked to my stepmom a lot and got a lot of great information that and I watched a lot of stuff, and I pretty much locked myself in the hotel room and figured out a way to do this, because I want to honor my stepbrother and also be truthful for everybody out there. And it's not what it's portrayed, I feel like, in movies often is the same thing, and it's very individuals are different, and conditions are different for different people, so I want to be really delicate with that. They end up really not talking about it, so it's kind of left up to your imagination, or left up to you to kind of figure that out. But really just watching a lot of documentaries, watching a lot of movies. The director told me to watch that he wanted to get the same tone as, and just creating, and then being taking a big swing and being well, there it is. And some people are going to like it and some people are not. But I just really wanted to be delicate with honoring that representation, because it means a lot to a lot of people out there. And, especially it hitting close to home with my stepbrother. Shout out to Rohan.
Yes.
Great dude. And, learning. And so I took a lot of my character off my stepbrother.
Wow. That's amazing.
And, figuring it out, I do stuff like for certain roles, I make playlists. So I made a playlist for this character, and it was interesting, and I think that it was really great working with a young director, Edward Drake. He was 28 when we made it.
Holy shit.
And I was 28, so I was like a dude my age, which was great. And, he was really cool, and he gave me a lot of freedom, and we talked a lot in those 2 days before getting on set.
Wow.
And, it was just like, okay, here's what I have, and taking a big swing and being as prepared as I can before going into it.
Did you have like this conversation with your brother? Like explain everything?
I just wanted him to see it.
Okay.
So he saw it, and I wonder if he saw it yet when he saw it myself. I have to actually ask. I need to double check on that one. But my stepmom really liked it, and she was really positive about how I portrayed kind of, someone. And granted, he was on a kind of a different part of the, I think if it's correct to say, a different part of the spectrum than my stepbrother. But
yeah.
I hope he likes it, but I didn't want to task him with bugging him. I get it. We have talks about other things. He shows me, he's really into anime, really into music, and we talk about music a lot. And I didn't really want to complicate our relationship.
It's a delicate It's a delicate conversation. I fully get that, right? You say you make playlists, right? Yeah. So what were some of the songs that are in this playlist?
It varies so much. For this guy, I wanted to keep this. So I wanted to, so if vascularity of your veins was a feeling, I wanted to keep that.
Okay.
So I worked out every morning before, and then sometimes a lot of times after set or whenever I could, just to feel constantly pumped.
Yeah.
And I put a lot of kind of like high stakes music on it. So I put like the soundtrack of Les Mis.
All right. Okay.
Weirdly,
okay.
I had that. I had, what is it? Dead Sarah?
Dead Sarah.
Dead Sarah?
No.
Leatherman is, Weatherman, not Leatherman. Weatherman, Dead Sarah. Really good song. I had that because it was really intense.
By who?
Dead Sarah.
Okay, so Dead Sarah, Weatherman.
Weatherman is the band, the name.
Okay.
And it's just like a very high, like pumping song. See if you see
it. Wait, I think I know this song actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had like a mixture of Les Mis and hard rock.
Yes.
And, just things that made me feel that like vascularity, like let's go. And I kept it up for, the whole shoot. And I was more isolated. I'd still talk to people, but I was more isolated than I normally am on set. I'm, if it's a comedy, I'm talking to everyone.
Yes.
But like I just went and I'd listen to like my meditation app as well. And I would sit in like the holding room I had and chill out, and just, I wanted to remain open, and I wanted to remain like,
damn. Yeah.
Vascularity is a feeling. I don't know if it's a feeling.
No, but it makes sense. The way you paint it.
Like, when you feel that pump after working, I want to feel that. So I tried to do that. And I tried to also isolate myself. I didn't really, I was in Vancouver for it, and Vancouver's awesome and a great place to like go out and do stuff. I stayed in my room a lot. And then I also, because of the timing of shooting, I felt like I only saw nighttime. So it was like that dark feeling. Like I became so vulnerable that I started waking up in the middle of the night a lot. Just my heart racing. I didn't know why. I didn't know why at all, but it was a really, really good learning experience. I feel like no matter how many movies or TV shows or whatever I do, I always learn something. And I took a lot of valuable lessons from that one, and it was awesome. Timothy V. Murphy, who you see in there, is in a million things. He's an actor's actor. He's a cool dude, and so it was like great working with him. And there's the gal who's the main lead, Avery Conrad, really talented woman, and it was just a really great cast, really supportive people, really cool director. It was a fun shoot.
Dude, I still am just blown away. 28 years old directing a movie. I mean,
yeah, and he's really good visually. Came from music videos, I believe, and I hope I got that right. But because I saw a lot of his music videos when I was gonna meet with him on FaceTime to possibly do this movie, And he really has a really cool eye. And he did a lot with it with this movie. And especially, the movie was, tight schedule, a lower budget, but it doesn't really look like it, and he does a really great job with it.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like when you are preparing, especially for this role, it's like you really get into it. You lock yourself in the room, you create this playlist, you associate things to like vascularity, right?
Yeah.
What do you enjoy doing most? Like comedy, drama? Like let's say you had to pick one. Could you do that?
I drama, I guess, because comedy's great. And I love it, and I'm not ever going to say anything bad about it. I would be so grateful if the next thing I do is a comedy show and it runs for 20 years. And I'd be more grateful than anybody. And I'm not in a position really to choose what I do next at this point in my career, honestly. But there is something, because I've worked so hard on the craft of acting, classes over the last 10 or so years, different coaches. There's something of me that just wants to bare my soul for characters that are misunderstood in a dramatic way.
I totally get that.
Because I felt my whole life that I'm misunderstood.
Yeah.
And I felt my whole life that I'm weird or different. And I know a lot of other people feel the same way.
Yeah.
And I would really like to do justice to those characters in a dramatic way. And I'd love to be on a drama show. TV right now is just so good that, if it's movie or TV, I'm not mad. If it's good material, I'm happy and I'm grateful. But there's something with drama that I just need to say. I feel like it's more my voice, as an artist, my voice. I want to say something with drama. Yeah. And I hope I don't come off too actory pretentious saying that, but there's something for misunderstood people I want to stand up for.
Dude, I get that. Yeah, there's a lot of people in this world that feel very misunderstood, and especially, in this climate and everything that's going on today. To have people like yourself, just being a helping hand, letting other people know that they're not the only one, right? Because a lot of times when you go through things, you feel like you're the only person out there. But when someone has the courage to stand up and share their story and talk about themselves, people start to realize that they're not, and then things become, I don't know, less lonely. Does that make sense?
And I'm so, and it gives me, and you can tell anyone listening by the way I explain making mistakes and whatever, it gives me so much anxiety, because I don't want to ever come from a place like, look at me, I did it, and you can too, but like I did it. There's no doing it and not doing it. Like it isn't linear. It isn't a trajectory that just goes. There's always going to be bumps. There's always going to be things that are step forward, back. And I think that, like, to be as honest as we can about that, and while we share stories, while we're you're a storyteller, while you share a story, being honest and also being delicate in the fact that I never wanted to come across like, okay, so like I didn't end up completely off the rails, so therefore I'm perfect. Like, whether it's your story, whether it's, what you're telling, you have to be delicate and realistic and appeal to people in a way where it's not like unachievable.
Of course. Absolutely.
And it's very, your version of that, whatever it is to you as the individual, is very achievable. And that's, not harping on those things you've done in the past, not getting mad at yourself, letting go.
Yeah.
But, taking the knowledge from mistakes or from where you are now and where you want to see yourself, and in a certain amount of time. But it's a delicate balance, and that's why I think it gives me a great sense of anxiety to be like, yeah, like I did the child star thing and I'm okay. Like, no, like, dude, I've had many times when I'm not okay, when I'm anxiety ridden in my room, like depressed, like everybody goes through their version of what it is. Yeah. So what if mine wasn't a public crazy meltdown, or mine, no one knows what I've been through in my personal life when I'm alone with myself. I want it to be very clear to people that it's not some magic thing that, there's some people out there who just don't have struggles or don't have things that happen or are somehow able to rise above it all. They're able to rise above it all because they learn from mistakes, and that's the truth.
100%. They put in the work, man, because life is about putting work. And life is just a delicate balance. And especially when you have the ability to, help share your story, other people's story, you want to be able to give it justice. One thing I've learned from this podcast is that it is a delicate balance, sharing my own story, things that I've gone through, but it's only through my eyes, and I've said some things on this podcast that, like I regret. I've said some stories about my own mother, right? And I love her to death. Yeah. She is amazing, but maybe I should have shut my fucking mouth on some of the things because she, I was having a conversation with her, and she loves it and she listens to all of them. But I know it hurt her feelings, and I never want to do that.
Exactly.
Everything that she was dealt and everything that she was handed, right? She made the choices that she had to, but she is an amazing person and I love her to death. But it is a delicate balance being a storyteller, right? And for me, I could have, taken that, said nothing, and just moved on and continued to talk, right? Or learn from it, right? Yeah. Because you can be open and honest, but at the same time, there are things that you can limit, right? Yeah. I never want to limit my own personal story, things that involve me and only me. Yeah. But it's definitely a learning lesson. So, hearing you talk and hearing you share your own personal story, like I understand you, just from the things that you're saying, and I respect that. Yeah. You're going through all of this, right? To kind of bring it back to your story, right? You have this kind of 5-year, separation, and then you kind of start to bring it back in. Yeah. What was, like the moment? Can you look at the moment in back in your life when it's like, okay, I went through this, but now this was kind of the next chapter?
Yeah. So there were two major things that stand out to me. My first job in a long, long time, I was a senior in high school, and I auditioned for this show, Monk.
Yeah.
It's on for a long time. Yeah. And I had an okay audition, but they asked me to come back in a few hours for the callback for a guest star. Nice. And I go, and I'm in the middle of my callback, and Tony Shalhoub, who plays Monk, walks in my audition to watch my audition. And I fucking froze, and I had the worst audition I've ever had. And I went back to my car, and I just cried. And I was like, man, I can't get over myself. I can't get over my anxiety. I can't get over my stress. How am I ever going to achieve what I want? And I talked to my agent on the phone. I'm like, just get another audition for me. I don't want to think about this ever again. And he calls me back a few hours later. He's like, you did so poorly that you booked it in your costume fittings tomorrow. And
wait, what?
Yeah. So apparently whatever my nerves were came across like the character or whatever. I don't know. It told me I did a good job. And I ended up booking it. And so I was like, okay, I know nothing. I know nothing. And I think that was a big lesson to say, I don't know. I come across. Yes. I don't know. I thought I failed miserably, and I ended up getting the part, and it was the first thing I had in a long time. Then the second moment for me was a play I did. I originated this play by this great playwright, John Polono, who wrote Stronger, the Boston bombing movie with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay, yeah, I do know exactly.
So he's a really great playwright, great actor, very talented guy. Shout out to John, also a great human being. So I did this play he originated, and it was my first time doing a long run of a play ever in the history of me being an actor. And I got to originate this character, and I worked so hard on it. And it was so much growth as an artist, being able to, because we were, I think, doing 3 or 4 performances a week, maybe 5.
Jeez.
I don't know. It was a long time. It was a lot. I don't know. I'm trying to think about how many performances it was. But we were there doing it for 6 months. And being that consistently having to go and do this role and have all this stuff happen in my life's good days, bad days, whatever, it was some of the best training I've ever had as an actor and artist, and it instilled a confidence in me that I can do this in front of people on a consistent basis for a long time and really delving into that character and feeling like it was some of the best work I've done in my life. And, people really digging it. And it was just a big confidence booster and a really instilling the fact that I should be doing this and I should be happy doing this. And there was just so much growth that happened during those 5 or 6 months doing the performances and learning. And my now acting coach was the older version of me in it. His name's Joshua Baton. He was in the Pacific and a lot of other things. If you see his face, you know him. He's in a million
You
things.
pull up a picture of him? Joshua Baton?
Yeah.
Oh,
Right
yeah,
there,
yeah.
So he's in a million things.
Yeah.
Really fantastic actor, fantastic human being.
Yeah.
He's an acting coach to me and some, and he just, I learned a lot from him watching the dude work, and he helped me a lot with my dialect. It was a Boston accent, and he helped me a lot with it, and he helped me a lot, to this day in life. And having a mentor like that is a great, powerful thing. And I started taking classes with him after, but being able to, be surrounded by such a great cast, and really fine actors, and be able to create this thing that hasn't been done before. It's a original character and work with some of the best writing I've ever worked with and do it on a consistent basis really just was a huge time of growth for me. And that was where I was like, you know what, man? I feel like I'm on some sort of path.
Yes.
And I like who I am at this point, and I'm cool with it,
Dude, that's that's really incredible because it could have gone one of two ways, right? I mean, I guess multiple ways, right? Yeah. But when I asked you that question, like when did that light turn back on? You had a solid answer. Like you're like 2 times, right? Or two different points, right? And it makes a lot of sense. At what age were you?
I was 20. So the first one I was 17, I think.
Okay.
Monk. Then the other one was 23.
Damn.
And not that this should ever mean you should never hang your hat on reviews, and you should never
correct
that be the reason for anything. And mostly the reason for this time of growth was the actual growth and the actual putting in the work. But as a human being, as a curious person, because I'm an actor.
Yes, of course.
It was some of the best reviews I've ever gotten in my life. And
really?
It's the only thing I own of my actual career is, so I got to be actually printed in the little play that it got published. The play, and it it's now in bookstores, and I get to be in the original cast of it. That was a dork moment for me. The only thing I own is a copy of that hanging with 2 of the reviews I got from the LA Times and Hollywood Reporter. And it was some sort of, even though that shouldn't, and I underline this 10 times, shouldn't be, it's not the reason, but it didn't hurt to finally receive some gratification for something I did as an adult, where they, one of the LA Times, a really cool review where he said that I had grown into a gifted actor as an adult.
Dude.
And that gave all the work, all the stress, it gave some sort of
meaning, man.
Meaning
Come on.
to it, and I hate to be reviews, but you're gonna look at them. You're curious. You're a human being. Of course. And having 2 good reviews from places I've always been I hope you want to be acknowledged, and to have that realize, and I worked my ass off on this thing,
dude.
To realize my hard work didn't go unnoticed as an adult, that was, and I'm not going to, like I said, it's not the reason, but you couple that with the actual hard work I put in and the being able to do it all the time for a long period, all of that stuff pushed together is what flicked that light back on. And I was like, hey buddy, you're on some sort of, you're on some sort of path, and you're doing it. You're doing it. And damn all the people said you couldn't. Damn all the people said, you sure you want to do this or like this or that, and all the negativity or own self-doubt. If I work my ass off, I am able to make work that other people really are drawn towards.
Dude, of course.
And that was really cool. And that
Absolutely.
was really cool. And I hate it. There's a lot of
why?
No. I hate having to bring up the reviews. There's a lot of to pull that out of me, but it's that as someone who's been because for me, and it still goes on a lot, but for me, a lot of my days are Groundhog Day. I wake up, I go to do something, and someone's like, something Jerry Maguire, something
Yep.
you know. So it's
gotta be hard.
So when you work your fucking ass off for this one thing and you only hear about one thing all the time, you're like, so it was really nice to hear, like, so it's that people who review things appreciated it, and that,
Absolutely.
you know, the feedback I got from people and the experience, and you put all those things together, and that was a turn on the light moment.
No, it's absolutely beautiful. It does have to be, although it's amazing that you got to do those roles as a kid, right?
Yeah.
It does have to be difficult, like hearing that shit. That's all that gets brought up, right? Because you're a lot more than that, you know. You are
a human being. I'm a person who likes jujitsu. I'm a person who's a friend,
yes,
a brother, a son, a dog father. You know,
yes,
you know,
a boyfriend.
I have a lot of other things going on. And the interesting thing about it, and this is really fascinating, is I can tell you how grateful I am for it.
Yeah,
and I am. I'm so grateful because I figured out what I want to do for the rest of my life. I am the most grateful about it. But if you're too grateful, people are like, stop living in the past.
Yep.
And if you're like, hey, I'm distancing myself, for me, people are like, what, are you not grateful? Like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And I've been on both sides where I'm like, no, neither. Grateful for it. 30 years old now, you know?
Let's go.
And, you know,
Next.
like, you know, and I have not done this much acting class. I have not stressed this much about something to only think about that.
Dude,
you know?
absolutely. No, it makes so much sense because you get, like, if you get reminded of these things that you did in the past constantly, and that's all someone would bring up to me, it would drive me crazy.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, at the beginning of the podcast, or before we even record, like, I wanted to talk to you and ask you, like, what do you want to talk about? What don't you want to talk about, right? And so, like, everyone, you know, has those things, but I knew going into it, regardless if you said it or not, I wasn't going to make this podcast about Jerry Maguire, because I wanted to know Jonathan Lipnicki as a human being, not just the past, right? And so but I respect you at the same time for saying, yes,
it's a part
I did
of my
these,
life.
but it's part of your life.
It's a part of my life, and it is interesting.
Yes.
But it's honestly not even in the top 3 of most interesting things about me.
Of course.
And I feel like anybody would feel about something they did when they were a kid that, you know,
Dude.
they're like, but I did this and I went to college and I got a degree or whatever, you know, whatever their life circumstances. Nobody wants to just, you know, feel like, oh, people only care about that portion, you know, and it's like I said, it's delicate balance. Am I grateful? So much.
Yeah.
Am I so stoked on what I'm doing right now and stoked to achieve certain goals and, you know, in the near future? Yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell yes, man.
Yeah.
Dude, if someone, like, you know, for me, you know, winning the World Series, you know, when I was 9 or 10 years old and we were, like, on the news and all this shit, if that's what people remembered me by and always brought that up, oh, you're the dude that did that. Oh, you're the kid that won the World Series. Oh, it would drive me bonkers, right? And so I get that, man. Like, totally get that. But at the same time, very appreciative that I personally went through that experience, right? And so I totally get that. But when you got that review, you know, that about the play, that's, come on, man.
It meant
like,
something to me because it's like, this is who I am now, you know? And every time I get to do something. I love how Josh is just stuck up there. What's up, Josh? I'm going to send you the link to this.
You should take a picture of that.
Send
Jonathan Bitton.
Josh is a great dude. Really, man, one of the best actors I've ever. You know, it's rare. He's like so good at acting, but he's also good. Like, he teaches. He's great at explaining it. I'm like, sometimes it's one way or another, another. Like, there are people like, I'm good at this. I don't know how to explain it. Or they're not good at it, but they can explain it. He's a both. You know, he's really quite an amazing human being. But to bring it back to my story.
Yes.
There you go.
High five.
Extra credit for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
But yeah, to bring it back to my story, I love this, man. I love this, and I'll deal with whatever shit about whatever I did when I was a kid until, you know, maybe that won't happen anymore. I'm sure people will still, you know, remember it a bit. But it's like, yeah, like every time I go in, I'm so grateful I have a movie that just came out. I hope you guys check it out, and I hope you enjoy it. You know, it's a hard time right now, and I hope that people find some sort of enjoyment and get to escape for, you know, an hour and a half. But most importantly, watch my girlfriend's movie.
Yeah.
But
that's a good answer.
But
I didn't even ask the question.
But yeah, every time I have these small victories, whether it's an independent film or TV or whatever, it's not the size of the project I do. It's the fact that I'm still doing something I love. And I wish more people could feel safe to just keep pursuing what they love. 100%. I feel like, because I think people are just so scared of judgment of others, you know, and it's just, dude, I've been there. I am there. I scared all the time of like, oh, what are people going to think? Are they going to think I'm stupid in this role? Or just, you know, interactions with people. I don't want people to think I'm a dick. I like, you know, I want to come across in a good way. And that's why I'm delicate with my words on this podcast, even, you know, because I want to do good in the world. That's me. I really want to. And I think a lot of people, if you really ask them, that's what they want.
Yeah.
But, you know, luckily I was in a environment that cultivated my, you know, artistic nature. But a lot of people out there are really scared to truly go for what they want. And definitely got to recommend a book.
Let's hear it.
Because it helped me a lot. I went through a really bad depression in 2019 before so I met Penelope in 2020. She's, you know, been a great, great person in my life in many, many ways. 2019 was probably the hardest year of my life. And what I realized during that, and what I want to say to anyone who's feeling anxious or has anxiety like me or depression or whatever you're going through, it's a really tough time right now. You got to validate, like I said earlier, you got to validate what it is. You can't just say, it doesn't matter. No, because then it'll just keep building. You got to validate it, but you got to be proactive in your own happiness at the same time. You got to feel the feelings, make a plan to get over it after that. But you got to feel it to understand it and why it's there. But I was really sad, and I just started really, a lot of things weren't going my way. And I decided to really look into what made me happy. And a lot was listening to podcasts, man. A lot of podcasts, you can find really interesting people, you know, who have done it, you know, done what you want or have done some sort of great thing. Yes. But also there's a book, and it's funny, man, because there's so much judgment around self-improvement, which like there shouldn't be. If someone's trying to improve themselves, I don't, you know, do whatever you need to do to become a better person. But there's this book, You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. And I drive a lot because of LA. Yes. And I listen, and I've gone through this book several times now. And it's really, for me, you just got to put all judgment to the side when you listen to it, because she's a very happy lady. And like, you know, a lot of people, the cynic in them is going to be, it doesn't work. But like, would you rather sit around your life saying something doesn't work and coming up for reasons why you don't have what you want? Or would you rather spend your life being happy but chasing those things? And I want to be happy. And this book really helped me a lot. And I just have to say, if anyone's feeling anxious or whatever they're going through, you know, it was definitely a tool, and I recommend it.
Dude, I could not agree with you more. First off, the book's called You Are a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life. That's a great title.
Yeah, we all have greatness inside us.
Yeah. Is it Jen Sincero?
Jen Sincero is how she said it on the audiobook.
Sincero.
But yeah, really, I mean, it's great. Check it out. I think that, like, you know, and I'm excited to read McConaughey's book. He's a positive dude. I got pumped up from listening to that.
Yeah,
podcast.
me too.
You know, and I think that everybody, you know, everybody could just, you know, if you're honest with yourself about what you want to do in life or where you want to be or how you want to feel, there's no problem with trying to pursue that, whether it be self-improvement books or whatever, podcasts. Like, do it. You know, who cares about what other people think? Obviously, a lot of times people judging you are not happy themselves. So it's like, take advice from people who take advice from people who you look at their life and you're like, okay, they got something good going on. Don't let your negative friend tell you not to be happy. That's what is a big thing too.
Did you want to say something?
I just want to say that it looks like she wrote a couple.
Yeah, there's books. A good one. There's like Every Day.
Yeah,
I've listened to that one.
That has made money. It's usually coupled with The Subtle Art of Not Giving a
I've also listened to that one on audio.
I was
never an audiobook person. I was always a reader, but then lately,
you can
like
do
over
more.
The last 2009, you know, probably 2000. Yeah, it was like 2019 is when I really started getting into audiobooks, because I was like, I can listen to the same 4 songs I like.
Yep.
Or like I can learn something. So I decided to learn something.
Absolutely. I mean, you can listen to books, podcasts, in the shower, in the car. You can finish. Like, I mean, I finish at least one book a month. But I want to touch on what you said, because for me, podcasts have changed my life, and there's one person that has helped. I mean, there's multiple people, and I'm the person that's helped it. But like I said, my therapist, but also Joe Rogan's podcast. I've been listening to Joe Rogan's podcast for years, but the past 2 years, I've really started listening to what he has to say and what he has to offer. And you don't have to agree with everything he says, and I don't. But what does he talk about? He talks about, physical fitness, taking care of yourself, taking care of your mind, being open. There's you can have a person that believes this way, you can have a person that believes that way, but at the end of the day, we can all come together and have that open conversation, and really just being more aware of yourself, right? Mentally, physically, spiritually, on all those levels. And so when you say, podcasts and books have helped change your life, absolutely. I'm the same way. And this podcast has helped change my life, meeting all these different people, having you here today. I mean, I just never in a million years thought, I would do all that. And so I recently had on Tom O'Neill, who wrote Chaos. He was on Rogan earlier this year, and we posted a video, and Joe Rogan liked it. Right. And do you know what that fucking meant for me?
Exactly.
Someone that has just been such an influential person in my life. So when you were talking about reviews, right, that was hard work that you've put in, and this has been hard work. But that was that for me. It meant huge. It meant so fucking much. And so it's yes, we need to start listening to people that have actually done it, not your negative person, your negative friend, right? That is so bitter about the entire world. It's that old saying is listen to your elders, right? It's there's something there. It's you want to take advice from people that have actually been through it.
Yeah, and even for Joe Rogan, a big episode for me, and you can I agree with Joe Rogan on some things, I disagree with him on some things. He's made mistakes, he's copped them. Speaking of someone who made a mistake, Kevin Hart is so inspirational, man.
Yes.
I have to say, did he make those mistakes and those were wrong? Yes. But if you look at the overall good he's doing for the community, with his thing he was talking about with Chase, where he's teaching people about financial responsibility. That guy's so inspirational. He was in debt. He did go through it. He had a lot of things. People told him, you're not this, you're not that, you're not funny enough. And the guy did it, and to me, people like that are inspirational. If I met Kevin Hart, I'd hug him because to me, I was in a really low point and I heard his first podcast with Joe Rogan and it gave me hope. Yeah. And I think that if anything, if we listen, and I think listening to people, if we can listen to people and they give us hope, that's good. So as a friend in turn, don't shoot your friend's silly business idea down.
Correct.
Unless they're personally going to hurt themselves or someone else. Don't shoot your friend down for what they're passionate about. Support your friends, support your loved ones, because they're not going to know unless they try it and you never know. It could end up being something that really brings them much success as a person or financially or both, or really makes them a better person. And I wish just we all, supported each other a little more.
Absolutely. I could not agree with you more. I think supporting our loved ones, our friends, picking people up when they're down or even when they're up, building them higher. My relationship with my wife, we've been together for 17 years. And the reason we've had so much success is because we make each other better people. And I think that doing that for your friends and your loved ones, and like I just said, it's just so important. And I hear a lot of that from you.
Leading with love, instead of going, how many things are wrong with this person or how many things about this idea is stupid. Leading with the compassion and love is just if we could reprogram ourselves to do that more,
Oh man, absolutely.
The world would be a better place.
It definitely would. As we kind of start to wind down, right? I want to know what is the future for you? What's coming up? Where do you see everything going?
So right now, for stuff if you are interested after this podcast and listening to, watching some stuff I've done. So I broil out, and then I also have a short film called Date, which now I've released online. Did some festivals. It's on Vimeo. I used to have the link, but I had to replace the link on my Instagram with something else.
We'll put it up.
But that, are two cool current things. And then, you know, auditioning like every other actor and creating my own projects. I just wrote my first pilot. I completed it over quarantine. I never really tried really like I've written with partners before, but actually making it more, and I have a partner on this, but it's more my voice. It's been a really great process. If it ever gets made, whatever, you know,
better. Cause I heard,
you know, it was a really great thing for me, and it's a great thing creating in a different way. But yeah, I have some stuff that I have my own podcast, which should be starting soon, and I'll have more information on my Instagram shortly. I don't know what I can say or what I can't say because it's with someone else too. So I don't want to, you know,
I get it.
We'll see. But you know, that's going to be about positivity, about finding people who have overcome, you know, certain things in their life to find success in what they're passionate about.
Yes.
So, you know, and then I have a clothing I've been doing called Litnicki, and it's lipnickyshop.com. And it's all clothing about being positive, about getting stoked on life, getting Litnicki.
Yes.
Like, you know, getting stoked on life, being happy, you know, and try to pursue what you love. But yeah, I have another movie I did with Taryn Manning. If you're familiar with her, she's awesome, been in a million things. That should come out next year. And then just trying to find the next thing, creating my own projects. Me and Penelope are going to collaborate on something, so we'll figure it out. But I have some stuff.
Dude, you got a lot of stuff, man. You got a lot of stuff. Podcast, this, pilots, Litnicki, all of that stuff. It's amazing, and you just continue to push, man. It's very, very, very inspiring, man. Everything that you just shared, we'll definitely share it in the story links and put it up on our social media. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, man. You coming on here means the world to me. Anyone coming on here means the world to me. Thanks for having me.
You know,
absolutely.
For giving people a place a comfortable place to talk.
I think that's important, man. You know, these open conversations, right? It's what helps push the narrative and everything that you and I both believe in, man. And spreading love and positivity, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Thank you guys for listening. Anyone who listened, I really appreciate it. Thank you for the support.
Dude, absolutely. Any last words, Mr. Danielson?
I just wanted to say thank you for sharing what it was like to go through your public school experience. I think that resonated most with me. It was something that I even personally went through, not because I was, you know, starring next to Tom Cruise or anything. It was just something that I went through as a kid. Yeah. And middle school sucks. Yeah. It does. And being able to build a friendship with some of the kids that I had conflict with. I was in and out of the principal's office maybe every week because of a fight. Yeah. And it all stemmed from that. Yeah. And that's not who I am. Yeah. And I think that the beauty of seeing how polite you are, how amazing you are, just goes to show that you hold yourself accountable, and I appreciate you sharing that. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. The school thing, regardless of acting or, you know, whatever, a lot of people can relate to that, and it's, you know, obviously more publicized now with social media, but like, you know, I just, you know, wish there were some more concrete answers to the whole bullying epidemic, you know.
We just got to keep on talking about it and sharing our own story and sharing our own experiences and being real about things. Because I remember being in school and they would talk about drugs or bullying, and it's just like so fucking fake, right? If we are real, open, and honest about it, then we can maybe help change the narrative. But it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of people.
Yeah, it takes authenticity. You know, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the bullying. You know, to be frankly honest, with it gets. I mean, a lot of those things do beautiful things for people that it gets better, but I think it's too simplified. Like,
it is.
It gets better eventually, but like, what about the kids sitting in it right now? Is 2.5 years left of middle school, and like, life sucks.
Yes.
I think that, it gets better, but you also gotta find ways to adapt and find those groups, find those people that have same interests to do your part of trying to maneuver your way out of it. And then obviously, like, you know, you can't control how people are going to be, but, you know, I just wish there was a more authentic way, because I do see a lot of these campaigns, and like, I know they're trying, and I don't want to shit on them. And I know every actor, celebrity they use, they're trying to be nice. They're trying to, but like, it's not like, just because someone told me it's going to be better doesn't mean it's going to be better. No. You got to find your tribe, your people. Yeah. You have to do what you can that is in your control, but also we as adults need to tell our kids to be nice to
Yes.
one each other,
Yes.
to each other,
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I think a lot of times kids are a direct reflection of their
Yeah.
parents and what happens at home, right? And what they see at home. Then, it's like we don't come out of the womb being racist or sexist.
No.
It's things that we see. It's things that we read. And like, if your parents are racist, right? Well, chances are you're going to be fucking racist, right? If your parents are this, well, chances are you're going to be that, right? And so it takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, and for schools and things like that, it's about being real. It's like, just say no to drugs. Well, that's great, but it's not that easy.
Yeah, it's it's oversimplified.
Exactly.
It's outdated.
Yes, absolutely. But to kind of bring it back to you, man, bring it back to your story as we wrap up your story. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for listening back to your story. Have a good night. Peace out, motherfucker. Boom. Wowzers! Thank you so much for watching the podcast. Thank you, Jonathan, for coming on to share your story. If you guys like our podcast, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that head right there. And if you don't, still hit that bad boy. Have a good night, people. Peace!